Hey, welcome back to Random Tasks. Today we're going to do a bit of bike maintenance. It's on a 1963 Huffy Sportsman. This belonged to my grandmother. She bought it new. Spent most of its life in Cape Cod, and we were on holiday visiting my grandparents' old house, and I found the bike in the garage, and it was well, looked like a bike that had been on Cape Cod for most of its time. Bit rusty, bit worn, needed some TLC, and given that my grandparents had passed away, I was allowed to basically take it back home and spend a lot of time fixing it up, and it became essentially my wife's daily bike. So she has been cycling to work, cycling with the kids, everything like that for the last 8 years now, and hasn't actually required much maintenance. The normal things like tires and brake shoes, but after my initial restoration, which I stripped down the frame and cleaned it all up and everything, it's been pretty reliable. However, this old original cottered crank is making some funny noises, and there's a bit of a clunk type feeling when I rotate it, and I'm suspecting that the bearings in here are in need of some attention. So this is the original cottered crank. Bit of a pain in the neck, but it is what it is. So I'm going to take it apart, starting by removing the chain and disconnecting the shift cable, and then hopefully I can get these cotters out without destroying them, because these were difficult to find. I was living in Germany at the time, and I think I ended up finding the right cotters while on a business trip in Geneva at some random bike store. So that's not really an option this time. So hopefully I can rescue them. They're only 8 years old, so hopefully they're not too terrible to take out. So before I start removing the chain on this, two things. Number one, if you are not from the States and wondering what the heck a Huffy Sportsman is, this is a Raleigh 3-speed. These were basically just rebranded as Huffy Sportsmans and sold in the US. You even see that there's an old faded thing that says made in England. I think it was made in Nottingham, not quite sure, but anyway, it's just an English 3-speed with the Raleigh, good old Raleigh hub here, which has been fantastic. The other thing I just want to point out is I just want to thank RJ the bike guy. If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, please do. I've learned so much from watching his videos on how to fix bikes. I really had no idea what I was doing before I started, and I found his channel and learned a lot. So put a link in the description, but please check out his site. He's just a wealth of knowledge, a lot of great videos. Okay, so this chain has a little master link thing here, which I'm going to remove a screwdriver, and then that should come off quite easily. So I got the chain removed, and I realized, of course, I don't actually need to remove that. I don't know what I was thinking, but anyway, chain's removed, so you could hopefully can hear maybe the clunk. Yeah, so that's the problem. Basically, I noticed that when I rode this the other day to take my kid to school, and felt that something wasn't right, so I put it on my to-do list for the weekend. But yeah, so anyway, that's removed. So I'll now take these. Ooh, that's finger tight. That shouldn't be like that. Okay, so it looks like I'm looking in the right area. So I'll remove this one and the other one. Should add that while I'm doing this, I've just soaking the chain in some spirits just to get it cleaned up. It took about 30 seconds to get that dirty, so worth doing. I don't need a new chain. This chain's perfectly fine, but I'm just gonna get it cleaned up while I can. Okay, so I took off the chain guard there just to get a bit more access. Now, I temporarily screwed this on. When I removed these last time, Again, 8 years ago, they were really, really difficult to get out because they've been in there probably their entire life at that point. I'm hoping these won't be as tricky. I put a little WD-40 down there a while ago. I temporarily put the nut on. I'm hoping that a light tap with a hammer will get it out. If you're not careful, these can be deformed and then you have to get new ones, and it's a bit of a pain. You can't just go order them online or get, hope that your local shop will definitely have it. And quite often you have to make sure it has the right profile because these can be quite different. So hopefully these won't be too difficult and I can just clean them up and reuse them. Okay, so a few light taps with the hammer and it moved down without a problem. So that's very, very good. I'm just hopefully I can get it all the rest of the way out without too much problem. You can see it's already popped out the back there. So I will probably just use some pliers or a clamp just to kind of press it out. But in the meantime, I'll do the other side first with the hammer. Okay, so I got the other one loose as well. And so I think just with a couple light taps here. Yeah, it's coming out. Good. Just get a screwdriver to push it a bit more. It's coming out a little bit easier on the other side. But yeah, that's coming. Good. Okay, cotter pins are out. Not cotter pins, but the cotters anyway. And threads are fine. So we just need to probably clean up a little bit. A little bit of steel wool and WD-40 will get that nice and clean, get it smooth. So for when it's ready to be reinserted, it'll go in easily, hopefully. So cotters are out, which means I can then pull this right off. I'll probably just clean that up. That's actually held up fairly well. So heavy, these old things. I mean, if I really want to do like a bit of a resto mod type thing, I could replace all this with modern components, but I like keeping this thing original. I remember last time I did this, I didn't bother trying to take that side out. I just did it from the other side, which I will do again. So that one came off as well. Fortunately, I lost the dust caps for these pedals, but I also rebuilt these, took them apart completely, cleaned them up, put in some fresh bearings. Love the way they look. So, the next step. Taking this off and seeing how the bearings are. I'm getting the feeling they're going to be a bit loose. Okay, I just cleaned this up a little bit before I started taking them apart. Now I have this special tool, which I got from my grandfather's workshop after he passed away, and this is why he had it. Maybe he did a bit of maintenance on this a long time ago, but I did already loosen that a little bit, which is why it came off so easily. But it wasn't too bad. So let's take this off and see what we have. All right, so that lock ring's on. That is a bit too loose for my liking. I'll get a container ready for some of these bearings. One, two. Oh yeah, these are nice and loose. So I'm just gonna put them all down in here for now. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I've wiped out the grease from there, and I'm gonna have to take that other cup out on the other side, which would be a bit of a pain. I think also just wipe the grease off the main axle here. So, and I hope I have all the bearings there. I rather stupidly, well, I'm doing this outside as you can tell, and if things do hop out, there's an excellent chance of them getting lost between these bricks. So hot tip, if you're gonna do this, if I was gonna do this again, but if you're gonna do this, put out a towel or something if you're working outside like this. So if you do have a bearing drop, it should be easy to find. I will count up those bearings. Hopefully I have an even number, because I don't think I lost 2. And I also need to check my stash of random bike things, see if I actually have any bearings the same size. From recollection, I think they're 1/4 inch. I need to check. So as this bit of maintenance was kind of coming up on my schedule, I did think about like, oh, well, what if I try to modernize this and put in a sealed bottom bracket and a cotterless crank and all that kind of stuff. It is somewhat possible, but it's really hard to do. So the bottom bracket, standard bottom bracket on a road bike nowadays, or at least it was in the 80s, 90s, which is where the bikes that I really know, 68 mil width. But it's all, point is, it's all metric. In the 60s, when Raleigh was building this, they kind of had their own dimensions and own kind of thread counts and everything like that. So it just doesn't line up. One option you could do is reuse the cups and get a cotterless GIS spindle that is of the right dimensions, that actually fits within these cups, and at least you can put a cotterless crank set on. However, that'd be another thing to buy. This is really just this is not a racing bike. This is a kind of workhorse commuting type bike. Not going great distances on this thing. I don't really want to spend a ton of money on it. If I'd have to get a cotterless crank set, I'd probably have to do something about the cog on the rear wheel, because it probably wouldn't work with the chain that would work with the cotterless crank. It's just really not worth it. I have other bikes that I've upgraded in the past where I've done the method that I mentioned with the old spindle. I also have my 1983 Peugeot Iseran P6, not a high-end model by any means, but my dad bought it new in 1983 and became mine when I was at school. And I've essentially modernized this. I put in a sealed bottom bracket, replaced the crank set, replaced the rear cassette, rear wheels, front wheel, everything. Even this came with 27-inch wheels. This now has 700C wheels, which meant I actually had to get different brakes, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I've actually written this all up on my website, if you're curious, which I'll put a link to. But point is, I've done bike modernizations. In this case, for me, it's best to just stick with the original. So I'm going to try to get the other cup out. I cannot remember if I ever did in the past, or if I somehow packed the cup from this side without taking it out. But I'll give it a go. I have a tool for doing this, which is this Park Tool HCW11. But yeah, this is always a pain to get on there, because as you ride, it essentially tightens up even more. So I'll still give it a go, but I might end up just trying to repack the bearings without removing it. Speaking of bearings, I counted, I have 20, which sounds about right. Also clean this up as best I can. Again, you can see this is the original Raleigh piece. Just do want to check to see if I have new bearings, because I may as well use them if I have them. But the race on this, everything seems to be fine. It's not pitted or scored. So yeah, and the cup looks all right as well. Got that cleaned up. So this is held up fairly well. So I'll just search through my stuff and then also just try to get the other cup out. Okay, so I've given up trying to remove this. It's just in there. So what I'm going to do is I will pack the bearings, or grease it up and pack the bearings while it's still in, which is yeah, less than ideal, but it'll be fine. I love this little old pulley here for the shift cable. Sturmey Archer. Yeah, the Sturmey Archer AW3. It's been reliable. They sometimes say it stands for always works, and yeah, it does. Okay, so I'm gonna pack the bearings on this one first. I did find my leftover bearings from when I did this 8 years ago. It's only 16, so I will have to just clean up 4 of them, and should be fine. So I'll do that, and I'll get my trusty bucket of there you go, Kugellagerfett. So bought this a long time ago in Germany, and it's still going strong. Okay, so I've got it greased up, and I'm going to start placing the 10 bearings around there evenly. Okay, so got the 10 bearings in and nicely packed, and I'll grease this up as well. And the next bit is going to be the tricky bit of putting the bearings in the bottom bracket while the cup is still in there. So I've already greased it up, and I'm probably going to go in from the other side to do it. Okay, bearings are in. I actually went in through this side, wasn't too bad. Got the axle greased up, and so I'm going to gently insert it. I'll see the long end goes in that way, and then fill it in, or follow up with the other cup and the bearings. So, okay, so that's in. I screwed it in basically till it got snug, and if I turn it, it feels smooth and there's no movement. So now I'm going to put the lock ring in place and tighten that up with that special tool, and then grease up these and start putting the crank back on. Okay, good. So that's on. But we'll add, if you don't happen to have one of these handy tools, you can just use a screwdriver and a hammer to loosen that. But it's always nice to have the right tool for the job. So it slots right in, and yeah, nice and tight. Okay, so ready to put this back on. You can see I cleaned it up in the interim. WD-40 and steel wool can do wonders. So I know from, thankfully, these videos that which way the cotter pin goes, which is this side. So I got the cotters back in and these tightened up. I'll probably have to check them again in about a week, and then again just make sure that they haven't loosened, but it's rotating smoothly again, which is great. So now I'll put the chain back on and then the chain guard, and I think we will be done. Okay, chain is on. I'm just gonna use some chain grease to get a bit of lubrication. It's been sitting in mineral spirits, so it's gone a bit dry, but a lot of the gunk is out, which is good. Okay, so that's that. Everything went back together nicely. It's nice to have it all cleaned up as well. Turns smoothly, and yeah, hopefully last another 8 years without any issues. So thanks so much. Hope you guys found this interesting, useful, and yeah, see what happens next time on Random Tasks. Thanks for watching.